subscriber, welcome back. Before we dive into this video, I'm going to give you guys a little backstory. This cruise was supposed to be my very first YouTube video. I filmed it back in May 2024 while celebrating my 55th birthday. A trip I'll never forget. But when it came time to edit, I just wasn't feeling it. Creatively, I just wasn't in that space yet. So instead, my first YouTube video ended up being my luxury handbag collection. Turns out that hesitancy was a blessing in disguise. I sailed this ship twice, the second time with family, and the two experiences could not have been more different. Spoiler alert, that video is coming soon. But now it's finally time to share this one. Sometimes I like to do a little something special for my birthday. For my 45th, it was bright lights, big energy, and Vegas nights with my girls. It was so unforgettable. And my 50th, a fab outdoor dinner party hosted in my honor by my amazing baby brother and sister-in-love, surrounded by family, friends, and so much love. The very next day, I set sail to Cuba with friends. So there was no way I was spending my 55th stuck in the States. Let me take you back to how it all went down. The planning of my solo birthday cruise on the stunning MSC Meraviglia. As a true Royal Caribbean girly, I naturally started my search there. Unfortunately, I couldn't find an itinerary that worked, so I decided to branch out. I stumbled on MSC's Meraviglia. The price was right, no flight needed, and I was sailing straight out of Brooklyn, New York, to Port Canaveral, Orlando, Nassau, Bahamas, and Ocean Cay MSC Marine Reserve, an island in the Bahamas. I booked a balcony cabin with Wi-Fi and drink packages at a steal. And get this, I booked it just 10 days before my birthday. Spontaneous? Absolutely. Worth it, and then some. Now let's get into the cruise. On my birthday, I treated myself to a hot stone massage, a sushi lunch, and a little champagne. Massage, divine. I floated out of that spa feeling completely renewed. The Aurea Spa is a Balinese-inspired oasis that offers everything from soothing massages to a full-service beauty salon and nail boutique. The thermal area is complete with a salt wall, steam rooms, saunas, an ice grotto, and hot marble beds. Now the sushi, it was just okay, which was disappointing. But here's the plot twist. The chicken fried rice? Yes, the chicken fried rice completely stole the show. Flavorful, hot, and hands down the best part of that meal. And of course, the champagne did what it always does. Never misses. During my cruise, there were 2 medical emergencies on board. At dinner, one guest mentioned that if someone has to be medically airlifted for treatment, it could cost thousands, and some countries won't even accept U.S. health insurance. They either want cash or your travel and medical insurance. On top of that, the combination of the medical emergencies and challenging weather conditions in Brooklyn caused delays to 2 of our scheduled ports. As a gesture of goodwill, MSC provided each cabin with $200 in non-refundable onboard credit, good for specialty dining, spa treatments, shore excursions, and more. Now that was an unexpected treat. And just like that, we've reached the end of my solo cruise. What a journey. Thanks for coming along. If you're planning to sail on the MSC Meraviglia, you have to check out my video, 13 Things You Should Know Before Cruising on MSC Meraviglia. It's a must watch. The link is below and it'll also pop up at the end of this video. And if you want to see the very different experience my family and I had on this same ship just 9 months after my solo cruise, and catch footage of MSC's Ocean Cay Island in the Bahamas, and much more, that video is coming soon. So make sure you hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss it. And as always, thanks for watching.